All right, separate traders, welcome on back here this Tuesday, July 19th, post Traders Talk edition here of our afternoon meeting. Great to see Michael, great to see you, Ron, Jeffrey, Bill, John, and all of us joining us live inside the trading room. And glad to know you folks could hear me loud and clear. Great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. Hey, we ended up doing a bit of a pop up workshop on YouTube exclusively earlier this morning. Well, of course, for all of us live inside the trading room we had our Traders Talk workshop, which we mainly host exclusively inside our live trading room. Well, we ended up doing a pop-up, version for all of us on YouTube, just for you folks to join our members inside our room. So, we recorded that. That'll be up obviously both on the student portal, but also on our YouTube channel actually later on this afternoon. But with that in mind, though, if you like green, if you like up markets, this has been a pretty nice day, right? So really from the morning here, from the pre-market, we saw the SPY like gap up and make a nice push early. Well, from where we left off about 24 hours ago, we were talking about the SPY, right? And I hope I could show it without it freezing up my chart here, but we'll take a look. SPY right now obviously has made a nice push across the entire day, but a level that we had left off with from yesterday's meeting, from Monday, well, it was actually from Friday's market close, the close from the past week at 385.13. Why is that important? Well, basically, when the market opened up, it shook down, it held just pennies right above there, bottomed out at 385.39, and then from that very point, whoop, all the way up. So, hey, there's a good chance to see continuation heading into this afternoon, let alone another gap up perhaps tomorrow morning. We'll try and go through the SPY here a little bit further by the end of this week, showing where we may look to see a top off at. You would assume 400 would be a big number to follow, with the S&P reaching 4,000, and to say, well, yeah, that's definitely true. But there's a couple of levels just a little bit below there. I'm watching like 396, 396-ish, 398-ish, basically on the SPY. So we'll see if that continues. If not heading into the afternoon here, then perhaps just across the remainder of this week. But with that in mind, though, there's a couple of stocks that we ended up doing really well on from earlier today. And if you were joining us inside Traders Talk, our weekly workshop earlier this morning, APLD was one of them. Hey, this one ended up making a nice pop right back on up. One of our traders on YouTube joining us then at the time, they were quite bullish on the position, looking for a move potentially up to 2. And hey, at this point, I'm not fully ruling that out here across the afternoon. It's actually holding above the VWAP right now, holding above past resistance that we had from the chart. For right now, though, I mean, let's just see if there's anything looking sharper going up right now, perhaps with the market. Oftentimes these stocks that make these big pops and moves up, once the volume peaks and it wanes off from that point, the stock begins to drop off and really lose its momentum. So that's what happened a few times here. You can't keep expecting the same thing to happen. But if it does happen, and if this does break back over resistance, namely off of 169 and 170 here, this could lead to a nice run. So it's all about finding your levels. I'll come back to this definitely at the end. We'll see if there's a little bit more life to it, going forward. All right, we got the SIDU here coming up next. I mean, talk about a chop fest. I mean, if you're looking for the afternoon breakout, the run into the close, that's one thing, right? I mean, you have good reason to look for that. It's pretty close to the highs comparative to where it had opened up this morning. But oh, it's dumping off right now. So even more now than ever, I'll kind of brush this off to the side here as well. Come back to this at the end. Just kind of cherry pick those if they look really good, but there's definitely a lot that's looking a little bit sharper going up at this point. So LQDA ended up having a nice big pop to it heading into the early to mid afternoon, breaking out from like 390-ish all the way up towards high of the day off 524, 525. Right now it's starting to peak back up a little bit more volume, being traded on this just going into the 2:30 meeting. It's right around the VWAP here as well, roughly off of 475. So it looks pretty interesting. It's also easy to borrow, right? And speaking of, there's a stock that we'll jump to as we go down the gainers list here that was easy to borrow, and this was actually a pretty easy trade on the way down. So maybe LQDA could provide that opportunity if it fails to really run from this VWAP support. So for right now, I'll put this on our watch list here to start the LQDA. All right, so we keep going. I am in one trade, and it's actually the trade that I just kind of alluded to as we continue to go down this gainers list here. I wrote it to all of us inside the chat board, inside the cyber group room, at least earlier. I was asking you folks, just trying to, gain a little chat going, right? A little conversation going. Hey, what's everyone watching right now? Is, markets moving up, but otherwise, just wanted to see what, folks were looking at. I think Kathleen said Mara. One of us had mentioned, the upstart trade, Steve. And then John mentioned, I think the APLD, and he was asking what I was looking at. And at the time, I said, hey, I called it out just a moment ago before. We'll jump to it in a bit. But the STIM, that's the one that I'm currently in right now. I got a stop set, though, right at my entry price. We'll get to that one in a bit. Let's just kind of skim across the rest of the gainer side here for right now. Obviously, Mara had a huge run up, so let's jump to that here right now. Mara had a huge pop going into the mid morning once it broke resistance finally off of 1050, 1055 ish here. Unfortunately, I was not there personally to take that trade. I was watching it just for a little while beforehand, took my eyes off it, and then I jumped back to it, and it was way too late. It was already at like 1070, so I felt like I was pretty late at that point. Obviously, it looks like I could have jumped in and then continued the move up, but you don't want to just stray too far away from the big entry level that you were following, especially for a day trade, if anything. So Mara right now, it looks really strong, but if you were with me about 24 hours ago, you know my thoughts on the crypto mining stocks heading into the afternoon. They are such damn teases. And I am sure, I am certain that one day, I'll be wrong with that. And this will blow the roof off resistance, make another dollar, $2 move into the close. But for the last couple of years, as we've been following, Riot, Mara, of course, like a Bitcoin related stock like Coinbase, but nonetheless, those two in particular, you would anticipate with this stock looking as strong as it is here, should it blast over resistance at 12, for this to really run higher. So often it hasn't. So listen, I'm going to put it on our list just in hopes of that run. It looks like a strong stock, strong chart, but if anything, it really needs to crack that 12 level, really, really strongly, and for that to run, pretty quickly from that point. All right, let's see what else we got here as we go down the gainer side here. Oh, where's my STIM? It's up 12.1%, I think, right now. I guess the percentages didn't update on the gainers list. It doesn't look like a good chart. It is not a good looking chart, but the STIM roughly off of the 4 level. I'm in from 402. I just called it out earlier. It was a much better short heading into the mid morning than it was just a trade heading into, like, looking for a run. So for as much as it dropped, my thought was, well, when is it going to begin to squeeze back up? Off of like big whole number support, perhaps off of 4. So once it broke under 4 and right back over 4, I leaned into the trade from there. So in that sense, if it begins to pop up pretty nicely from the 410 level, 409, 410, where it's standing here, that could be a nice level for a lot of us to try and jump in off of. It's very liquid. Don't get me wrong. Just it's been relatively flat speaking across the afternoon. So you're relying more on the hope of an afternoon run, just given the activity that we had from the morning, given how much it dropped. I know there was some news that came out on this stock from the pre-market. So again, I'm not fully committed to putting this on the main special list just yet. Just wanted to let you know, if, at least what I'm in right now. It's the only trade I'm currently in on. All right, what else we got here though on the gainer side here? AREC, not a whole lot happening there. It's like, just at resistance, pretty spotty chart. Cores, I think this is a crypto miner as well, if I'm not mistaken, with Bitfarms, BITF here as well. Ooh, HUSA had a pop and drop. I didn't even realize that. This thing ended up having a huge pop and run to it. I was probably away from my desk at the time. I'm sure Rich L called it out inside our trading room just earlier, but what goes up comes back down, and at that point, the volume completely dissipated after the initial, pop. So definitely not worth watching at this stage. All right, folks. I don't know what happened to my SPY subchart here, but let's just jump back to the SPY, see where it stands heading into the afternoon, or at least from where we left off with it. Making lower highs, slowly trotting down, but still kind of holding support to a degree. So we'll see where the SPY takes us here heading into the afternoon here. But let's just jump to the loser side for right now. Gotta expand the price column here. If there's anything else that looks good, folks, up, down, left, right, more than 5%, just type it in the chat board. Just let me know. NVTA is easy to borrow. It is just a straight dart on the way down. It's like a brisk power walk right now, really. This trade, not a run, but it's more of like a brisk jog, a nice little power walk, perhaps. This thing is just slowly dropping. This is a nice little short. But the question is, though, is like how much more does it have left? And otherwise, it's a pretty slow moving trade. So, it's already dropped off so much. I'm not fully committed to this right now. It's a good sideless stock. Nice stock to maybe practice a short on, just given it's like a level 1 trade. Got FSLY. This one's dropping off pretty nicely here too. $11 stock. And you know what? This one doesn't seem so bad. I wish it was trading just a little bit more volume per minute, but nice little short here for right now. So, I don't mind putting the FSLY on our main list here. It's getting a little bit closer and closer to the low of the day, roughly off 1120. All right, folks, I think that might just about wrap it up here. I mean, markets are obviously up, so we're not going to find a whole lot on the loser's side here right now. If there's anything else that looks good, up, down, left, right, more than 5%, type it in the chat board. Again, for anyone joining us late on YouTube, we ended up doing a bit of a pop-up workshop that we exclusively host inside the Cyber Group room every Tuesday, that being Traders Talk. That recording is actually up on our YouTube channel right now, so feel more than free to take a look at it if you didn't have the chance to join live. John says QD short. Take a look. I haven't seen QD today. Yeah, nothing too special about it right now. If it does hang under the VWAP, which I'm led to believe that's what you're personally looking for, then seems like you could have a trade. AFRM near high of the day. Yeah, this looks good. And then also the Upstart stock, right? I mean, Upstart, I don't know if I officially put on our list. I didn't write down, so I appreciate Michael writing Affirm here, because when I think Affirm, I do think Upstart synonymously, and both are making pretty much the same type of squeeze up, short squeeze, run up here, however you like to phrase it. All right, folks, I think that just about does it. Let me just jump back to a couple of these, I think, right? We had the APLD. It's like hanging underneath resistance at 169, 170. If it pops it, perhaps there's a trade. I'm not fully committed to it just yet. If you're interested in CHOP, then SIDU is the stock for you. I'm definitely not interested in this just yet. So, right now, I like the list as is. You got the LQDA, FSLY, we got Mara, and that's a bit of a teaser too, but we'll see if that can finally make the big afternoon pop that we hope to see. And then, of course, Affirm and Upstart. Both of those are actually really good. I'm going to put both of those on the top of our watch list for right now. For all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, I appreciate you folks sticking with me throughout each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you didn't have a chance to watch our workshop just from earlier this morning, as I'd mentioned just before, it's on our YouTube channel under our most recently recorded videos, posted videos on our YouTube channel. Any questions that you have, though, just feel more than free to send over to my email address, josh@ctutrading.com. And then otherwise, if you're interested in joining our live trading room, feel more than free to do so by going right down to the link on the yellow banner below to get yourself started. But for Grant, John, Michael, Leda, and Ron, and all of us just inside the live trading room, Rob included, I look forward to talking to you folks just later on this afternoon. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge.